everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. Yeah, I'm really excited about showing you how to make a flower crown for Garden Day. I have here with me some beautiful English tulips called Estella, which have been grown in a farm just outside of London at a hotel called Hetfield Place. And I'm the floral consultant there. So yeah, we're gonna make a flower crown today, and the flower I've chosen are these amazing, very flamboyant tulips. There we go. They are
beautiful.
Yeah, they're probably one of my favorite tulips. Right, okay, so what we're going to need is we're going to need some green wires, 2 green wires. These ones are a little bit more of a thicker gauge because you really want that to be a bit quite stiff, because this is going to hold your flower crown basically. This is what we're going to make the base of the flower crown with. So you're going to use some green wires. Again, this can be bought online or even at a hardware shop. You can kind of find this. You can actually use garden wire as well, because that's got that kind of slightly kind of stiffer gauge. You see that? There we go. Okay.
If we're making this with kids, Kitten, and we didn't have access to those things, would something like pipe cleaners work?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because you've got that kind of slightly kind of stiffer. You've got that stiffer kind of sort of, you know. Was it not texture like that kind of, you know, it just needs to be kind of quite secure and strong, because it's going to really like hold the base of the whole flower crown, so it's not all kind of flopping around. And when you're making it, it's really important that it's a bit more kind of thicker, because then you can like hold it in place, because you are going to be moving it around a lot while you make it. So you're going to need those wires, and you're also going to need these little thinner silver wires. And again, these are a lot more bendy, and these are going to actually, these are what we're going to use the, you know, to put into we're going to thread these through the flowers here. Okay, and then we're also going to need some gutter tape. This again can be bought online. You're probably your best bet is to buy this online at the moment. Now this is what florists use for a lot of things, like buttonholes and flower crowns. I mean, I have had one of these at my house probably since I was about 15 years old. They're like old friends. All of these things are like old friends to me. I use them all the time. Even when I'm making my single pieces, I use the thicker wire and the green wire. That's another tutorial.
One piece of advice I'd give to people if they're trying to buy the gutter tape is make sure you write the word florists in when you put it in to people, because I have a roll of gutter sealant arriving at my house later from making the mistake of ordering the wrong.
No, yeah.
So just make sure you put the word florist in when you Google it. Yeah,
maybe we could give some links at the end.
I think we could do that. Yeah.
Links. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so that you're going to need that, and then you're going to need some lovely jolly coloured ribbon as well to tie it, to secure it at the back. Right, okay, so let's get going. So I have pre-made this. It's basically 2 of these green wires joined together by the gutter tape. So as you can see, this is very long, and this is what is going to secure our flower crown. So if you can see that like that. It doesn't look like much yet, but it will do. Woo. Okay, so how to start is, right, we're going to get our gutter tape, and I think you want to kind of just pull quite a large bit out of this, and it just basically snaps off. I mean, I don't really know how to describe it. It's sort of like, it's basically like sort of stretchy plastic, basically. So what we're going to do is we're going to start at the top of our green wire, and we're going to start, it's hard to explain, but basically what you want to do is you want to pull it slightly, wrap it round the green wire, and then twist the green wire as you go, and then pull this gutter tape round so it stretches round the green wire like this.
We've had a question here, Kitten, saying the wire that someone's using isn't quite long enough to go around their head. What's the best way to join it? Would it be to twist the wires together or to do it with the tape?
Yeah, don't worry about that, because we are going to make, this is what we're going to join up at the back. So basically, as you can see here, I've got these 2 ones, and as you can see here, it's like it's just touching, but we're gonna actually cut this down so we have this beautiful bow at the back. So don't worry too much about that yet, but yeah, because we're gonna secure it with this ribbon at the end. Is that okay? Yeah, that's okay. Shall I carry on? Yeah.
Great. Yeah, carry on, please.
Okay, so we're going to carry on stretching the gutter tape round the green wire, so it's kind of like it's going down, but it doesn't matter if it snaps off. It might snap off because this it's very it suddenly gives and it snaps. But all you need to do is you just need to rejoin it, stretch it again, and twist. Twist, twist, twist. This is something that at the beginning is quite frustrating, but I think if you just stick with it, and you get into a rhythm of it, and suddenly it clicks, and you kind of know how much give it's going to take to kind of just get that stretch without it snapping off. But here we go.
Couldn't get hold of any of the gutter tape, Kitten. Would we be able to use something like perhaps masking tape, which would have the same tearing?
You could use masking tape. You could use masking tape. I mean, this really is the best way of securing it, because it not only does it like keeps everything in place, it also allows it's also grip for the rest of the flowers to grip onto. So it's the best to use this. I mean, you can absolutely use masking tape. It's just going to be a little bit more of a messier job.
That sounds probably like what my flower crown would work out like anyway.
Yeah, no, I would. I mean, we'll send you some links to this stuff. It's really good. I'm trying to think what else you can use. I mean, sometimes, when I'm using like dahlias and chrysanthemums, I actually tend to sometimes not use gutter tape. I can almost just thread the wire through the very fleshy bit at the top. So yeah, you can kind of it sort of depends. I mean, I like to just use this stuff just because I know that I'm very confident it's going to sort of stick together.
It's great. We've got a few people experimenting, making do during
yeah, absolutely.
We've got some electrical tape being used, some masking tape.
Wow, that's great.
So yeah, we'll see how it goes. But we've got to make do during these times, haven't we?
Absolutely, of course. I'm just trying to look and see what else I've got up there. Actually, do you know what, masking tape? If you cut it in a thinner slice, maybe it could work as well. Maybe.
Right. I have got another question here, just while you're doing wrapping your tape. So somebody has got flowers with a short stem length. That's all they were able to get today.
Okay. Yeah.
Will that be okay? Will they be able to use those?
Yeah. We're basically, if you've got these other thinner wires, that's what's going to basically create the stem for us.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Great.
And it doesn't have to be really thin wire. It can be like real wire or something else. Yeah. So don't worry too much. As long as you've kind of got the base, you can kind of be quite experimental with it. Okay. So I've done one here, but what I'm going to do now is I'm going to join this my other green wire to extend it to make this very long one. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Okay. So I reckon you want to do okay, if everyone can see, I just want to make it very clear, white background. So what I'm going to do, very weird. Here we go. I'm going to join these together like that, around that kind of, so I reckon it's probably about maybe 8 centimeters. 8 centimeters. We're going to join it up like that. We're going to lap it on top of each other.
We need a bit of overlap for the grip, is that? We don't want it to be too short because then it might fall apart.
Yeah, exactly. So when you're attaching it, you don't want it to be like at the end there, because then you're going to it will, snap the tape again, if you know what I mean. So we just want to give it a really good, secure, we want to get that in there, like really, so we're going to basically join this bit up together. Is that clear enough? Any questions? So I'm going to start now wrapping this other wire onto onto my first wire. So look, we're now wrapping it, twisting it.
And you haven't covered that second wire, have you? So
no, I haven't. No, I haven't, because we're going to wrap it with this, and we'll just carry it on.
Fantastic. So yeah, we don't need to wrap a wire, and then
exactly.
the two. which is useful for us.
Yeah, exactly. So
Great.
So we're going to twist, twist, twist.
So just a reminder to anybody joining us, if you do have some questions for Kitten as we're going through, you can do it in the chat function, or you can do it in the Q&A function, both of which you can find at the bottom of the screen on a computer, or you may just need to tap the screen if you're using an iPad or an iPhone or something like that. If you ask the Q&A questions, I'll wait. And those will be specific questions, whereas if you've just got a comment, you might want to pop that in the chat function. So we've got some people saying that they're joining us from Australia, which is fantastic.
Oh, wow, thank you.
Yeah, reaching from down under, so they're gonna be doing so. Maybe some exciting Australian flowers.
Amazing.
Speaking of that, thinking about local flowers, I know Kitten Grayson prides itself on using seasonal and British flowers, and you talked about these beautiful tulips, these Estelle tulips behind you. Coming from a local grower. I just wondered, why is that? Why do you choose to use British flowers rather than buying them from across the world?
Well, for many reasons, really. Sustainability is a big one for me. Also, I just feel like, we're very lucky to have been, born into where we live. And for me, I love British flowers. I love the British seasons, so I just want to kind of highlight those in the work that we do. I'm also incredibly passionate about looking after our planet and supporting our local growers, and I think if we all look after our soil, then all of our produce is going to be a lot more fruitful and a lot more a lot happier, basically. So it's kind of just very simple, really. I just want to support local growers, local farms, and I think if we all do that in our own separate areas of where we live, then I think it would make a huge difference to sustainability, our global warming, all that kind of thing. So that's why I kind of tend to stick to very local growers, and then I'm also going to start growing our own flowers as well, so that's exciting.
That's very exciting. I mean, those are definitely things that we at Chelsea Physic Garden believe in as well, and really support, and as one of the reasons why we have you as one of our florist suppliers for our wedding venue. Yeah. Actually, if you're having a wedding at the Chelsea Physic Garden, you can have Kitten do your flowers for you, which is fantastic. And those will be local British grown flowers, which would be fantastic. And we were chatting a little bit before we got started here, and I asked you whether you were still open during the pandemic. So if people have struggled to get flowers for today's workshop and they were wondering where might they be able to order flowers from, you were saying that you have started opening up and being able to deliver now. Just let people know how they would be able to do that. Do they just go to your website to order?
Yeah, they can go to our website and order through that. We're basically we've linked ourselves up to lots of amazing English growers. So the next up, we're getting sweet peas and roses and peonies. So that's going to be a big. It's very, very exciting. So we're saying goodbye to the tulips now for this year, and now I know that I like saying goodbye to friends, like see you next year. And then then we're going to start doing the sweet peas are up next, which is very exciting.
That's great. So I've just had another question here. I'll let you carry on and I'll answer it because you've already answered it for me. So I'll let you get on to the next thing. But somebody asking how long must the wire be? Does it need to fit totally around my head? And you've answered that again, but do you want to say?
So what's the question? So it doesn't fit around her head.
It doesn't. They're asking, does it need to go all the way around their head?
No, don't worry. We're going to make it fit perfectly to your head with this magic combination just here, ribbon and wire. So don't worry about it yet. I'll show you.
So stay tuned. We're going to get an answer to that question.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, right. Okay, so I've got my long piece of wire. These two pieces of wire that have been joined together. Thank you. So is everyone ready? Yeah, should I just carry on?
Yeah, carry on. Let's get cracking.
Okay. Yeah. Don't worry if you're still doing that. I might. Yeah, that's fine.
And so Kitten's going to carry on throughout this workshop and just carry on and making it. As I say, we're going to send a recording. We edit it down a little bit so you don't have me chatting away in the background explaining things like this. And then we'll send it out to you so that you can follow along at home. So we'll send that out to you. We'll try and get it out to you tomorrow, so that you can carry on making your flower crowns as soon as possible. But so don't worry if you miss a step. we are going to send you a recording later on.
Perfect. Yes. Great. So I've got the tulips. So here we go. Here's them with their beautiful long stems. There we go. Such a beauty. Okay, so now I'm going to basically, what I've done here, I'm just going to show you what I've done previously, just so we know, you know what we're doing. So what you want to do is you want to cut off the tulip's stem. So basically, sorry. So from the head, you've only got like about a 2.5 to 3 centimeter bit of the stem. So basically, I'm going to show you. You've got this lovely tulip, and then you're just cutting it around from there. Yeah, and then what we want to do next is we're going to get this. We're going to get our very thin little bits of wire, silver wire, and we're going to poke it through the top of the fleshy bit of the stem. Here we go. Out the other side. So
a little bit like making daisy chains when you were a child.
Yes. Yes. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So that's what you want to do. You want to just get that bit of wire all the way through there, and then you want to basically create like almost like a kind of pin effect in the within the flower. So it's like you're bending it down. So it's like basically essentially like that. Does that
Makes sense.
There we go. Can't really see it. There we go. Right. Then you want to take one leg of the wire, and you want to twist it around only once or twice. So it's like it's really securely in there. Do you see that? Yeah. Okay. And then you want to get your next bit of gutter tape, and again you want to start twisting it around the top of the stem, and start twisting it around.
And so presumably if I wanted to make myself a beautiful tulip buttonhole, we're very close to being there just with this little activity.
I mean, you've got a buttonhole right here.
There we go.
That's it. That is it. And I love, I mean, even, you know, I think, I personally think everyone should wear flowers every day, because it makes, well, I mean, it certainly makes me happy every day to wear flowers. You know, and men can do it as well.
My shirt is testament to this. We actually have an Estelle. Here we go. Just you can see it. We've got the Estelle tulip.
Yeah, there it is.
We were spotting it earlier on my flamboyant shirt.
Here we go.
Be able to order them from Kitten. Now I know where to find these online. You were telling me you're only delivering zones 1 to 4 in London, unfortunately.
Yes, only for now, just because it's all quite new and we're trying to kind of get used to everything. So we're delivering zones 1 to 4 at the moment, but we are working on extending. But yeah, for the moment, sadly, we can only do those areas. But yeah, we're going to work.
Fingers crossed.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so I've got a few made. So I guess for now, I think what would be good is if we could just all make up a few more of those. I'm going to keep doing it in front of the camera so you guys can see. So for this flower crown, I think I'm going to do about how many should I do? I think I'll probably do about 6 or 7. I'm going to do 7 and see how I get on. I mean, I'm going to go big on the flower crown because why not? But you know, if you've got smaller heads, that's fine. I mean, with the smaller heads, it does take a little bit more time to kind of get the quantity up to make a flower crown. But it kind of depends on how big you want the flower crown as well, because it could just sit on the top of your head, which are kind of a bit of this kind of effect, which I kind of normally tend to go for. Or you can go all the way around, but I think we're going to just do the top half today.
Presumably we can if you've not got as many flowers, if you're struggling to get hold of those things, you can make a flower tiara. You can make a flower coronet if you just want to go for a smaller regnal headpiece. Exactly.
That's the kind of, I mean, I actually prefer that kind of look to them anyway, because I think they add a bit more drama and a bit more height. So that's what we're going to go for. So if we just keep on going with these.
So while you're going and using your hands with that, and I'm going to ask you the question that I was asking you about earlier today.
Yes.
Wildflowers. So I think, like a lot of people, a lot of people, certainly in London, I'm on a 7th floor balcony. I have no flowers in my garden because I don't have a garden.
Yeah.
I can't go to a florist. But what I am doing is getting out and having that daily exercise, and I'm getting out into nature and going for a wander around local woodlands and fields. And I'm seeing lots of beautiful wildflowers, meadow flowers and forest flowers. But I've found that in the past, when I pick those flowers to have in the home, they tend to wilt very quickly. So if I was making a flower crown, how is there anything I specifically need to do with wildflowers, or is there specific types of wildflowers I should keep my eyes out for?
Yeah. Okay. So I know I feel your pain because at this time of year, in the springtime, all the wildflowers that we have at the moment, they're all very fleshy and need a lot of water. So at this time of year, it is tricky to pick wildflowers like cow parsley and like, you know, bluebells and things like that, because they've all got a very, if you notice, they've all got a very kind of very fleshy stem, so they need to soak up lots and lots of water. But as we go further into the summer seasons, we then things start coming up like daisies and cosmos and waxflower, which is another wildflower, heather. Also, lots of wild grasses, lots of other things like really pretty wild daisies and poppies and things like that. And that's when you can start kind of introducing them into flower crowns, because they've got more of a kind of strawy texture. So like when you go into like, you know, late July, August time, things are a lot more kind of like, yeah, strawy textured. So it's more, I think it's better to basically pick your wildflowers then if you want to make a flower crown. I mean, I find actually cow parsley really lasts very, very well in vases. Have you tried that?
Yes, yeah, and lots of lovely wild cow parsley out in the forest, which is great to have in the vase. But yeah, if I noticed that it wilts, even just carrying it home, it can get quite droopy.
Yes,
in that way.
Yeah, it does. They do get droopy. But I think I went for a walk yesterday, and I picked loads and loads of very beautiful like little wheat grasses, and also like little the daisies were coming up as well, and they're a game changer. These little kind of wheaty grasses you could make out of a little flower crown as well, which are really, really pretty. And there's other things like helichrysum and things like that. They would all do really, really well in flower crowns.
And how about blossoms? Would a bit of blossom off a tree work as well?
Yeah, blossom off a tree. Again, it's not going to last for a long time. But I think actually for an afternoon, it's perfect. It will like last like these will probably last this flower crown will probably last like a day, and then you'll sadly have to say goodbye to it. But that's the beauty of nature, you know. It doesn't last forever, and it's kind of in a way quite beautiful, I think.
So I had another question while you're getting on and making those tulips. Someone's asked, and you may be coming on to this later on. So if it is, we'll pause the question. But someone's asked, how do we incorporate greens, so leaves and other things like that? Is that something we're going to look at, or do you want to talk through it now?
Well, actually, we're going to talk. Oh, I can talk through that now. So green grasses. That's a really good thing to put into these flower crowns. Ivy is so basically if you go on a walk and you see ivy growing up a tree or ivy growing, it's actually quite good for the tree that you take bits off the tree, because trees they don't mind ivy, but they're not the best companions for trees. So it's actually quite useful if you do take some ivy off. You know, you can actually just get a knife and just peel it off the tree, because they're basically, the ivy's just clinging on like little kind of koala bears to the tree, and so you just need to like just get a little knife and just like carve it off, and then that can be a really lovely way of introducing green into the flower crown.
Fantastic. And if you were looking at individual leaves, presumably it wouldn't be particularly different to what you're doing now with the flower stems. So you just thread the wire through the same stem and do that. So maybe for a big leaf tree, a sycamore leaf or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly the same process. With if you're doing a leaf, I'll just show you with this. Okay. What you do with it, so let's just say this is the leaf, okay. What you want to do is you want to thread this wire through the leaf twice. So you just go like that.
Okay, like we're stitching it together.
Yes, exactly. And then you want to again just do the loop effect and then twist it round. And then you can add that one in as well.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
You can add that one in. Yeah.
Ah.
So yeah, it's the same process. It's across the board. It's just you know, it's just there's like I think actually there's just one technique for leaves and one technique for leaves and one technique for flowers. Like if you were to do roses, you would just pierce this wire through the. So if you got like a little rose bud, there's always a little bottom bit, and you just would pierce that through the bottom bit as well.
Fantastic. But then the other way to perhaps get volume very quickly, if you're not spending the time threading through, is, as you say, ivy, which comes with its own wire attached essentially. So that might be a quicker way to get that green foliage into your crown.
Absolutely, because you can just intertwine it and kind of weave it into the flower crown as you go.
Fantastic. So if you're running low on wire, perhaps that's where go and grab yourself some ivy and give you that greenness.
Yeah, and even like, you know, just keeping it really simple, like ivy and daisies would just be so pretty together, or you know, ivy and poppies, or you know, something very, you know, I think sometimes like using very little, less of like too many ingredients is actually quite nice to stick to like a couple of ingredients and go big on those, and that it's almost sort of more dramatic when you do that.
Yes, fantastic. I'll keep my eyes out for some ivy on the trees.
Yes, do. It helps the trees as well, so you're doing a good job.
Tree hero.
Yes, exactly.
That's what we'll say.
So we all need to be tree heroes.
Fantastic.
Okay, here we go. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 so far. I'm going to do another 2.
Another 2.
I have a feeling I might do 8. Yeah, I might do 8, and I think that's a good number.
If someone was really struggling to get hold of the wire or something like that, or maybe they're making something for children, I'm wondering whether they could make a kind of quick version of something like this. We talked about a tiara or a coronet. Could they use a hairband to kind of quickly create that and maybe just thread these flowers around a hairband?
Absolutely. I've done that many times.
Fantastic.
So a hairband, yeah. So, you know, like an Alice band, like one that sits on top of your head like that.
Mm-hmm.
I actually, I've got one here. No, I don't have. I do.
Don't worry about that. I'm throwing spanners in the works, folks.
Yeah, that could be another time. Basically, I also make flower crowns like that out of silk flowers, like these.
Mm.
And you can use like a glue gun to do that as well. And you can again create like such an amazing, like majestic look through doing that. Or you can just wire like this. You can just wrap it around and just make sure that the flowers at the front of the focus. And I mean, you might have a few kind of bits sticking out of the back, but yeah, I think you can definitely do that.
Great.
You just want to make sure that the wires aren't digging into
people. Yeah, of course.
That's a bit painful. That's happened to me sometimes.
Suffer for the art. Suffer
Exactly.
for the beauty of it.
Yes. Was it pain is beauty? Okay, so I've only got how many more? Not too much to do. I just can't get over these tulips. I mean, look how amazing. The way it's like soft pink and reds and whites is so pretty.
They are fantastic.
Yeah, they're amazing.
And these are presumably not any more difficult to grow than tulips that somebody might other find? They're just a species of tulip?
Yeah, they're just a species of tulip. Yeah, I mean, you plant them in November, and then they appear in, well, when did these start appearing? March, April? Yeah, March. These
Wow.
ones are a bit more of a later species, so these ones started appearing a bit later, so April. But yeah, I mean, we planted all of we planted all of our tulips in November.
Yeah.
26,000.
26,000. Wow. I mean,
Yeah.
we had on our social media earlier this week from one of our wonderful researchers was learning all about the tulip mania from the 1500s, and
Wow.
tulips were selling for the equivalent of thousands of pounds. And then it was the first bubble and crash when suddenly the bottom fell out of the tulip market in Holland, and people lost the equivalent of millions.
Oh my God, wow.
The tulips were so popular during that period. Yeah.
Oh, wow. How incredible.
And I can kind of understand it when I see those beautiful Estelle tulips, because, you know, they're so unique, and they're not what you see kind of walking around in the park usually, and they are fantastic.
Yes, there are some incredible varieties that you can get. I mean, I'm quite a sort of, I mean, 2 nights ago, I was up until like 1 o'clock in the morning, trawling the internet for like new varieties, and it's my favorite thing to do. Whenever I kind of need to be calmed down, I just literally look for new varieties of flowers, and it completely puts me out.
And presumably one of the differences between our kind of wildflowers that we were talking about and these sorts of tulips is they are bred to last that little bit longer. So the horticulturalists that produce these varieties are thinking about how they would survive, which is, whereas those that are in the wild haven't had that. So you wouldn't find these in the wild, would you?
No, you wouldn't find these in the wild, and I think that's kind of quite a kind of almost like a meant to be kind of thing. I feel like wildflowers are probably, you know, it's fine to pick, you know, fine to pick some, of course, but you know, I think you should always be conscious that you should leave wildflowers for the bees, and you know, and our natural, you know, and our wildlife. And then almost kind of like, you know, if you want to start growing your own flowers, like, you know, keep that kind of bit sort of separate, because you know, we can't, you know, it's just important not to go and ravage, you know, like, you know, wild meadows and things, because there are a lot of animals living in those, and all of our bees and butterflies need those wild you know, wild places. But yeah, I think when we're growing our flowers, we're always thinking about how long will this last in a vase, because that's quite important to us. If we're doing an event or a wedding, you know, you don't want to be picking things for them to go over within minutes, you know.
Of course, yes. Fantastic.
Yeah. So
our tulips.
So, huh?
We have our tulips now.
We do. We've got. I've got. Oh, hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have got 8.
Fantastic. What's next?
Right, next we are going to attach the tulips to the base.
Ah, you see how this is going to go.
Yes. Right, here we go. Okay, so I'm going to start probably in the middle, because I want my big, you know, effect to be kind of dramatic at the top. I'm going to go with this beauty here. So, do you think everyone's ready? You know, I'll just press on.
You just press on, Kitten. As I say, we're going to send out a recording later.
Oh yeah.
If you aren't able to keep up, folks, don't worry. We are going to send out something. We'll get it out to you tomorrow at the latest, but we will try and see if we can get something up on our website later today. But I can't promise that. It will depend on how quickly we can get it edited.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So we've got more of our best friend over here. Look at the tape, and we are attaching this beautiful. You know, I've just already attached it. In a sec. So here we go. The beautiful tulip in the middle. And the beauty with using wire to these things is you can kind of bend them into shape. You can kind of bend them and twist them, and kind of, it sort of manipulates the tulip a little bit. Right, now I'm going to start twisting them both together. So I'm lying this tulip on top of the wire, and I'm twisting. Like so. Okay, I'm snapping it off. There we go. That's our first one attached.
Beautiful.
Ooh, ta-da. Okay. Right. Okay, we're going to go to the next one. So like that. You're going to start attaching that one in. And at the beginning, you always kind of look at it and go, oh God, is this going to work? Does it look a bit weird? Kind of like, oh dear, you know, I've got it wrong. But then suddenly it all comes together and you're like really chuffed and, you know, prancing around with your flower crown, and that moment of doubt has disappeared. So you just got to keep going.
I don't know, Ken, I looked at that and thought, that looks incredible from the moment you put the first bloom on it. So
you're very kind. Thank you. Right, here we go. Second one on. Ta-da! It's building.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's fun. Okay, you want to just basically start, you know, working your way down the wire now. A little bit of this.
And you want to start in the middle, I'm assuming, because and make sure you do that, because if you go towards the ends, you're going to end up with a lopsided crown later on when we attach the ribbon. Yeah,
I mean, yes, kind of. I mean, a lot people do it in many different ways. Because I always tend to do big blooms, I tend to start in the middle, because if I start from the side, exactly, it kind of looks a bit lopsided, but I also want the main focus to be on the top of the head. So again, you've got that real kind of majestic kind of look, that kind of tiara effect.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of starting to build it. And then also, so when I go around to the other side, I'm going to start building it from that side going out.
Fantastic.
If that makes sense as well. So here we go. This is my fourth one in. It is fiddly, so you just have to get it's a knack, and suddenly you just get it.
And presumably that's one of the advantages of these bigger headed blooms, like these expansive tulips, is they are hiding that tape and any mistakes you make there. Whereas I presume with a smaller bloom, it's a little bit harder to do that. Yeah,
exactly. Like if I was to give any like top tips, I would 100% use big blooms if you can every time. Like, you know, hydrangeas are a really good one in the like autumn time, when they've kind of gone that sort of like dusky pinks and kind of burnt oranges and things like that. That's a lovely combination. Okay, now I'm on the fourth. Am I on the fourth? Yeah, I think so. No.
I have to say, I've lost count. I'm just mesmerized by those pinks and whites.
No, it's so pretty. There we go. Ooh, see, it does snap off. Got my cat chasing a bumblebee.
Poor thing.
I'm terribly worried that, yeah, I hope it's not going to get it.
Yeah, so it'll be in for a shock if it does catch it. That's the thing.
Yeah, no. Oh, okay, no, I don't think it's fine. She's all right. Okay. Okay.
We've got Sandy Sparkles is just saying that she's got the issue that her puppy keeps chasing her ribbon.
Oh, sweet.
House animals are wanting to take part in the Flower Crown Workshop today as well.
Absolutely, everyone's welcome. Actually, you can make little dog collars like this as well. You could make a little dog collar for her.
Fantastic.
Like, no.
Yeah, or yourself. I mean, I have to say that a floral cravat is not a bad way to go.
No, it's not. Actually, do you know what I was thinking? It'd be amazing to make a kind of collar with a big ribbon, like a flower collar. I might give that one a go.
Yeah.
Very regal.
Sandy has replied that she thinks she probably would eat it, but it would look good for a moment.
Yeah, probably would, yes. Oh. Right, I'm going to actually start moving on to the next. So I've got 3 left, can you believe it? They do go quickly. I'm going to actually move over to the other side.
I see.
Building up that
bit there. Is that to change the angle a bit?
Exactly. Change the angle, change the movement. So I'm actually going to now filled the other side up. Oh gosh, this is the bit that is very fiddly. Okay. So I've got 2 more left. I might make 1 more, just to be, you know,
Perfect.
just to be perfect. I'm kind of always a bit more of a more is more person. With flowers.
Yeah, flower crown's probably not the place for minimalism, I'm imagining.
No, absolutely
Any form
not.
of crown is probably not the right place for minimalism.
Yeah, I'm always like, go big or go home. That's what I say.
Exactly.
No, it's kind of, it's you. It's basically, it's. I feel like when I do flower crown workshops, it's so interesting because everyone starts with exactly the same ingredients. Like it's mad. Everything's counted out. It's all exactly the same, and I can't tell you how crazy it is. Every single one is completely different, and I always feel like it's a real kind of it's basically people's kind of, you know, real personalities coming out, and it's like a real, you know, chance for people to kind of like, you know, express their kind of personality. It's so interesting. It's kind of it's completely depends on, you know your character, and also how you feel on that day as well. Like there are sometimes when I kind of want to make a bit more of a delicate one. I've got one in my sitting room, which is a lot more kind of so much more discreet, and I made it out of tiny little flowers, all silk. But it's amazing, like how you can really express yourself through making flower crowns.
Yeah.
Also, it's very, very peaceful to do it as well. It's a really like meditative thing to do.
Which is an important theme this year in Garden Day, folks. So as we said before, we're making flower crowns in advance of the 10th of May, which is Garden Day, a day where you're encouraged to go out and spend some time in your garden and enjoy it. And this year, with all that's going on in the world, Garden Day has decided to theme itself around well-being and how we can be a bit more mindful and think about ourselves and how to be calm in these green spaces. So a perfect kind of meditative exercise for us there of making something with our hands that's beautiful and an expression of ourselves. A perfect thing to get ready for Garden Day on the 10th of May there.
Yeah, it's something that we talk about a lot at Kitten Grayson Flowers, is the kind of the healing power of plants and nature, and just getting out into the garden and looking at, and I don't know, like nursing your soil and like really kind of thinking of things like holistically and things like that. It's incredibly good for your mental health to give back to the earth what we take from it, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Really,
Speaking of health there, Kitten, I've got a terrible admission to make for somebody who works at Chelsea Physic Garden, which is I have horrendous hay fever. So while this flower crown looks beautiful, I am slightly thinking the moment I put this on my head, it's going to make my eyes go very itchy. So you've mentioned a couple of times there about silk flowers and
yes.
And also we talked about those kind of summer flowers, those more straw-like ones. Presumably we could use those as dried flowers as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
Principles apply, I assume, that we're still just attaching them to some wire and winding it round. And
yeah.
Plastic one, a silk flower.
It's completely the same. I'll show you in a minute when I take off these ones. I mean, they're a little bit savagely made, but which I'm slightly.
But no one can tell, so who minds?
Exactly, nobody can see what lies beneath, so it's fine. But I can. I'll show you. Yeah, it's so easy. You just attach the wires to the base of the silk crown at the top, and you can just use silk. I use silk. I wear these. I've got lots of different colours of these, and I wear them every day. And also, it's kind of, for me, silk flowers, in the head, it's a great way to kind of also be sustainable as well. Because I don't want to go out and use real flowers every day, because I feel like that's a bit of a sort of,
there's a special occasion. Like, so we're doing this today. It's a special occasion, a bit of a celebration.
Yeah, and it's a time for appreciation of nature. So like, 100%, use the real. But if you're gonna wear you know, flower crown a lot, then I think it's really worth investing in some silks, because you'll reuse them. I mean, I've made so many headdresses with silk flowers for parties, and given them as wedding presents and party presents and birthday presents. I make a lot for my friends. Always make them a silk flower crown for their birthday.
Oh, beautiful.
Because then they feel like a queen for the day.
As they should. And you do supply flowers for our weddings at the garden as well. So maybe there's a few of those we'll see over the coming.
Yeah, definitely.
We've just had a question here before you move on to the next step. Was that, could we use, if we didn't want to use a flower crown, could we use this same method to make something like a wreath, like a summer wreath for our door?
Oh, I'll show you. I'll quickly show you. I made this.
Oh, beautiful.
A couple of weeks ago for Easter. And you can use that. It's a bit more of a different method. You use wire. So I'm just going to get the charger. You use wire, and use a wire, and you need to use like a wicker base. So it's slightly different. I think it's another. Maybe
it's another workshop we need to do. One for the future. Fantastic. Yeah. Right. So have we got all our flowers attached to our wire now?
We do. We've got it all ready to go. Here we go. Look, it's
glorious.
Look, I just want to quickly test this, because this could be quite. Look at that.
That is fantastic. Very Shakespearean.
So, or we could do it maybe this way.
Oh, a fur coat. You can have a flower coat.
Yeah. Oh my God, bring it on. Okay, right. So what we want to do now is so here we go. I'm going to take these off, because the main piece needs to come on now. Sorry about this, everyone. Okay, right, here we go. There we go. Wait a sec. So what we want to do is we're going to this is the final bit, but what I want to do actually is I've just clipped that together, but what I want to do is I want to do the bow at the back. So I'm actually going to chop this down a bit.
So for those of us who didn't have quite long enough wires, this is how we're going to attach it. We're going to deal with our wires not being quite long enough. Okay,
so we've got our ribbon. We want to attach it. Here we go. So I'm going to just chop it down to there, I think, actually.
We've had another question while you're doing that chopping. If someone was adding greens, would they add them as they go, or would they add the flowers first and then add the greens, or do the greens and then the flowers? Is there any?
I would do the greens first. Yeah, I would definitely do the greens. Okay, so what we want to do with this bit is we want to basically create 2 loops either end. Like that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah? Now let's get some ribbon. Let's try it and then cut some ribbon. Yeah.
Beautiful.
There we go.
Well matched to the flowers there.
Yes, of course. I'm a big one for colour. It's got to all match. Okay, here we go. Now I might need to do this ribbon again, because I don't know about this size. Okay, so this is it. Okay, this is one of those things again. It's like it's crazy how it all comes together. Okay, so attach that to there. Okay, I want to do this. And then I'm just going to tie. Can you sit? Shall I just turn around?
I'm going to turn around and we can see.
Sorry about my messy hair.
Well, I was just about to say, if we don't have quite such an impressive head of hair, if you've got a kind of shorter head of hair like mine, presumably we just put it a bit further forward and we haven't got quite the hair to anchor it on.
Yeah, it actually just fits in the base of your head anyway.
Oh, it's in the base of the head, I see. Yeah. Great.
There you go. There's your flower crown.
Fantastic. That's just incredibly beautiful. It feels like it came together in a moment there.
It always does come together in a moment. That's the thing. It's amazing how it just quickly just all ties in. It all happens, and then you have your kind of flower tiara.
Beautiful. So we've got a little bit more time now.
Yes.
People probably are still, if you were trying to kind of work along as you go, folks, please feel free to carry on doing that. We're going to stay on the line for a little bit of time. We won't stay for too long. As I say, this was a bit of an experiment. We weren't quite sure how long we were going to go, so we may just drop off before 12:30. But if you've got any burning questions about how to make a crown, if you've got stuck at any section, this would be the moment to ask Kitten if she's got any top tips for you, and see if she's got any ways of helping out there. I suppose my question is, selfishly, straight away from me, would I be able to purchase dried flowers? Because I'm very conscious of what you said there about not taking too much from the woodlands and areas around me. So would I be able to order dried flowers from a florist?
Yes, you can. You can actually buy some dried flowers online from a couple of places. But yeah, they're always good. I've got these ones right here. This is my bowl of dried flowers.
Oh wow!
These are all helichrysum, which we grew and we dried last year. So you can add some of those in.
Oh, they would look fantastic.
Yeah, exactly. You can kind of. I can show you even how you could do. I could just add in a bit there. You know, you can add in. You can add in anything. But yeah, dried flowers are absolutely fantastic because you'll have them forever. They are a joy to grow, and it's so satisfying when you hang them up to dry, and you can and then you can use them afterwards.
I suppose they're decorations in themselves where they're drying. Sandy Sparkles, who's managed, I think, to avoid having her crown eaten by her dog, hers looks a bit like horns. So that'll be interesting to see. And folks, if you want to share the outcomes of your flower crowns, we'd love to see them.
Yeah, we'd love to.
If you put them on Instagram or on Twitter, we're at Chelsea Physic Garden, and Kitten is at Kitten Grayson Flowers on Instagram. We'd love to see these flower crowns, and we can have a look at them online. We've also had a question from Roberta here, who's asking, what smaller flowers would you use that would be available in August? So smaller flowers in August.
Okay, smaller flowers in August. Gosh, there's so August we've got. Okay, so do you know Cosmos?
I don't know Cosmos. What can you describe Cosmos? As I've said, I am a botanic novice here. I'm here to learn. So what would we be looking for in a Cosmos?
Okay, so Cosmos is a really, really pretty flower. It comes in all different colours, pinks and whites, and you can get a variety in yellow. That's a really lovely one. Also, cornflower is beautiful. You've got you can get waxflower. You can have roses in August. You can get gosh, what other things? There's all those beautiful grasses. Delphiniums are more kind of more May, July. So we're about to go into that, but you can take up delphinium heads and then make those into little flower crowns as well.
You've said a couple of times about grasses there, Kitten. So I was just wondering, dry grasses particularly, we wouldn't really be able to thread a wire through those so easily. So how would we attach the grasses?
Okay. Right, so let's just say this is I might take that off, but so let's just say that's a grass, yeah, like the long kind of field grass. Then what you want to do is you do again is you just get that very thin bit,
okay,
like that, and then you just want to just by the stem and then there.
Twist through, so we can just pop it through. So yeah, okay, great. So it's the same thing for same action for every single thing we're going to attach.
It is.
Great.
It's the same action. I mean, you can sometimes get away with not using a wire, but it's always quite good to kind of make sure it's really secure.
So we've had a question from Anne M here, and they've asked, how long do they last, and how do you store them? So I presume this depends on what you've put in your plants. So what plants you've used in your crown.
Yes.
So for one like this, maybe also tell us one with dried flowers. How long might that last?
Okay, so a dried flower crown literally can last, I mean, forever, really.
Forever.
I mean,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, I've had, we grew these last year, and these are not going anywhere. The colour is really vibrant and strong, and they last a long, long time. I mean, we've had flowers that we've had for years in our studio, and they're still going strong. So these helichrysums are a really good one to get to have. With fresh, I would say you really wouldn't want to use it more than a day, really. I mean, you can store them in whenever we do weddings and make flower crown, we can store them in fridges. I mean, say we do a wedding and it's on a Saturday, so I would probably get the girls to make them all up on a Friday, and then we store them overnight in a fridge, and then they're fine the next day for the wedding or for the party.
Great. So that was a question from Olivia Parker as well, was asking how would we make them for an event and keep them to stay longer. So you're saying you could do that. If we were traveling with them, perhaps we could use a cool box or something.
Absolutely, yeah, we've done that before as well. Yeah.
Great. So they wouldn't need any water. They just need that cooler temperature.
Yeah, you don't want to put them. Just don't put them in the water, and just make sure your fridge is turned, like, it's not good. They're not the water in the flowers. You know, the moisture really shouldn't freeze. You can be very careful about temperature, because if the petals freeze, then they bruise and they get damaged. So you just got to be very careful about how cold your fridge is, basically.
Ah, fantastic. Okay, so it won't do very well in mine, which has a big sheet of ice sitting on the back, helpfully. So perhaps, I mean, we're getting into specifics here, but perhaps we want to put it in the crisper drawer where we would put our lettuces and soft vegetables. Yeah. It's the same principle. We're treating them like a salad leaf that we're going to.
Exactly. Yeah. Like a fleshy, yeah, exactly. You just don't want the petals to freeze.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose there's always the option for an edible flower crown for some of our edible flowers. We could have some nasturtium flowers if you're getting peckish.
So pretty, yeah, lovely. I mean, wonderful. The options are endless.
That's great. So, folks, I'm going to ask if there's any more questions or any more things you want to ask, any problems you've encountered with your crown. Otherwise, we're going to say a really big thank you to Kitten Grayson for joining us today on this, our first experimental digital workshop from Chelsea Physic Garden. I also want to say a really big thank you specifically to any of our Chelsea Physic Garden friends or Grandiflora patrons who've joined us today. As we know, a lot of small organisations like ours, small charities, have had to close due to COVID-19, and we usually rely on the income that we get from our visitors at this time of year, particularly to put on amazing events like this. And so it's with the great generosity from our friends and our Grandiflora patrons that we're still able to do things like this and look after our garden. So thank you to them specifically, and a huge thank you to Kitten Grayson for joining, being willing to do this for us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I've loved it, and thank you so much for everyone that's joined. It really means a lot to me.
Yeah, well, to us too. So somebody's asked me, could we tell you them Kitten's company again? So Kitten's company is Kitten Grayson Flowers. You can go to the website. They do deliver within zones 1 to 4. If you're thinking about them for a big event or a wedding, I would ask you to also think about them in conjunction with Chelsea Physic Garden. You can hire us out as a venue, and we work in partnership with Kitten to bring you this beautiful floral and botanic event. But Kitten is available on kittengraysonflowers.com, is it, or .co.uk?
Yeah, .com, and then we've also got an Instagram as well, Kitten Grayson Flowers, and anyone can message me anytime. I'm always available for any questions, any advice. Yeah, always on my Instagram.
That's wonderful. And I say, folks, we're going to send out a video of this to you. We're going to try and see if we can get something up on our website today. It might not be possible. We've got to get our editing done. We will certainly get something up and live tomorrow, and we'll try and email you all with a link to that so you'll be able to see it. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you again to Kitten Grayson. Have a wonderful day, folks. Stay safe, stay home, and protect the NHS. Goodbye.
Bye.